consider to be an awakening, and what is that, and what happened?
I have, and it came out of the blue. Basically, I was just meditating, like so many people do, but I was sort of in a my girlfriend was away for a few months, and I just really kind of dropped into being meditative throughout the whole day. It wasn't like I was meditative for 20 minutes or half an hour. It was really full day experience, and it went on for a few months. And so I just kept being meditative. So I would call it just being present. And then one day this thing happened, and basically I woke up one morning and I was making coffee, and something was different, and I couldn't tell what it was at first, because I was just making my coffee and kind of looking around, and then all of a sudden I realized that I completely lost any sense of me. And it's weird to say that, like, why wouldn't you notice that right away? It took a real minute for me to notice that the I, this thing that's at the center, had been at the center of all my experience, all of a sudden was just missing. And yet experiencing was still happening, as you know. Mm-hmm. And that experience sort of wobbled a little bit, like, I don't know, like a toddler who's learning to walk or something. I kind of wobbled in that experience, like, I was in focus and then out of focus for days. It was very disorienting. But then it kind of settled down, and that was 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago.
So it kind of happened unexpectedly then too.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, I didn't have any idea of I'm striving for an awakening or enlightenment or whatever that is.
Yeah.
I was just meditating. It was just an avenue I felt I had never pursued to the very end.
No.
And I just
And then you weren't there.
And then yeah. Of course, what I discovered is, at first it looks like, oh my God, this self is gone. Simon is gone. But actually then later I realized, Simon was never there. He never has been. I just discovered the truth of that.
Yeah.
So in a way, nothing changed. Just I saw more clearly.
Yeah.
That's all that changed.
Yeah. But did you have any fear with that? Did you ever feel like Simon's gone? And you did?
No, I did not.
No,
I did not.
No.
Zero.
Yeah.
No fear. It was actually delightful. In fact, it was when I felt that experience was sort of becoming more distant. I craved after it.
Yeah.
Because it was so freeing.
Yeah.
Tremendously freeing. Freedom I couldn't even have imagined.
Yeah. I had something
and
similar,
so,
but
tell
it was not
you.
exactly the same, but it was something similar.
What preceded it?
Well, I was sitting down to meditate. I used to meditate a lot, even more than I do now, but I always meditate. So I was sitting down to meditate, and before I really got into it, I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sit here. I'm not going to meditate. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit here. And I sat there and it wasn't very long. I sat there, and I had been told to become the witness. And I've been years and years, I was meditating and not meditating, witnessing what I was seeing. And before that, there was always a witness seeing something that was being witnessed. And this one day, sitting there, not meditating, not doing anything, all of a sudden, I saw that there was nobody witnessing, and there was nothing being witnessed. It was all, in a sense, happening simultaneously, or all happening it was just one thing. It was not two things. There was no two things there. And I also had that experience that, well, this has always been the case. This has never been any different. This is always here. And I remember laughing. I really laughed. I said, oh my Lord, this is what they've been talking about. This is what all these mystics I've been listening to, reading, Mosho and other people, this is what they're talking about. And it was so simple, I couldn't stand it, actually. I just had a laugh. I said, this is ridiculous. And of course, then I realized that, wow, that's probably why I missed it. And probably that's why most people I saw missed it, is because it's so simple that I never would have thought of that this is all you have to do. Well, it wasn't a doing, but this is also all it has to be. In essence. And when it happened, all this information just roared into me. Like I understood what being meant. I've heard that word millions of times. Being, are you going to be being this or being that? But being meant this space, and the contrast between the prior witnessing, I would say, where there was a witness and I was witnessing something, and that space where there was only witnessing, there was only being, was so stark in some fashion and actually very freeing.
Yeah.
And that's what I would.
What was the freedom like? What was it free from? If you could.
It was free from having to do anything, having to be anything, having to be me. I wasn't there. Right. There was no way, and there was nothing had to be done to me. Before it was something was either wrong with me or right with me, and this was making me happy or this was making me sad.
More of that, less of that, please.
Right, exactly. And all of a sudden, no, this ain't nothing doing nothing. This is just on its own. This is. Yeah. And that, and pretty quickly I started calling it isness. It says it's isness, and it's the best word I still can find. Buddha, I would say, called it suchness. I think it meant the same thing. Isness, suchness is. This is it. Yeah. And then when you don't have to be anything in particular or do anything in particular, or you're not right or you're not wrong or you're not good or bad or whatever, then that's freeing. It has a tremendous sense of freedom to it.
Yeah. And no fear also, sounds like?
No, it was laughter was there. It was like, oh, God, this is
kind of was there a sense of a relief?
I'm not even sure it was relief. There was a sense of freedom, and that was beautiful. That was a beautiful sense. But actually, relief, I don't relate to that.
Yeah,
I just relate to that. It was, this is it. This is it.
Freedom.
And immediately I knew this was it. I mean, it wasn't a question about, there's then more. No, this is it. Period.
Yeah. It's Osho made some joke about somebody asked him, what's enlightenment? And he said enlightenment is when you set a trap out for a rabbit and you catch an elephant. There's no mistaking.
No, you can't mistake it. No, it's right there. Now, of course, after that, there were other things that came in, and my sense of self came back. It wasn't. I just didn't go completely into the Netherlands without ever coming it back to a reference point. Yeah. But several things I understood was that yes, I have this reference point, and I call it I, and yes, I use that reference point. It's extremely useful. Yeah. But it's not really it's not the real truth. It's not what underlies the whole thing. Right. And I can get caught in that reference point. I can get caught in that I. It's not that I lost it completely and said, sure. Now that's it.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. How you can basically experience your true being and still once in a while, I imagine with you, I mean, we've talked enough, but
absolutely.
Once in a while you can get caught in that, and it's relatively short period of time for you?
Generally, it gets less and less because the quicker you see it, the quicker. Although there are sometimes where I'm even aware that I'm losing it, and it doesn't quite go away, and so there's some sort of a hook that I'm holding on to, or it's holding on to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
consider it to be it's holding on to me. There's nobody that really hold on to it.
Yeah.
But there's not this free flow let go that can usually that can come. Just
Right.
being there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, if awakening was a product, like ketchup or something, you know, like you can say, you know, why do I want your product? We're not selling anything, but we're just talking about what's happened to each of us, very independently. Basically, my question is, you know, why? To someone who has not experienced that, why would they be interested in this? Because, you know, lots of people have difficult lives, and some people are fortunate and they have relatively easy lives. And, you know, why would anybody in the whole spectrum of suffering or not suffering, what's your feeling of why would they be interested in this? Or
I don't know what your
maybe it
answer
wouldn't
would
be.
be.
Yeah.
Maybe your answer would be, but what I would simply say is that when I saw this, when it became clear to me, when I was in it, I realized that everybody was this.
Yeah.
It's not that you are not this. This is what everybody is. This is what everything is. Everything is. Forget about everybody.
Yeah.
That, and just to relay what is there is I think if people would be interested to know who they really are.
Yeah.
And because that's who they are.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
So a little
as
bit
simple
like,
as that.
It's as simple as that. A little bit like coming home,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
You're going,
Yeah.
Okay, it's restful.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's necessary to force people in some fashion to
No,
go
no.
and say they see this or not see this. No,
no.
that's not necessary.
Of course not.
But it's something that you, given the opportunity, I would share and say this. This is what I see, and this is who I see you are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
for you personally, does it rank high in events in your life?
it ranks up there. It's if I would say I don't know if I'm not sure. I would say it's the most. In a way, it is. It's the most. It happened to me such a long time ago. When it happened, it would be.
How long? How many years roughly?
I don't
you've
know,
told me, but
25 years ago or something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
in a way, I would say yes, it is. And interestingly enough, in a way, I had been studying mysticism for years and years and years, and I had a lot of study of being a warrior and going through things and so forth. I think all that was part of and necessary, and was also very beneficial in essence.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I see what was actually there, I almost have to laugh. It's not. It doesn't ring as the most profound thing, but it is the most profound thing. But also it's the most simple thing. It's always what was always there. So in a way, it's not profound at all. But the fact of seeing it was immense. Yeah, that itself was immense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something very ordinary about the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes it feel not profound, but in, like you said, the seeing of it is profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that true,
totally.
true for you?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I don't know why. It's definitely. I mean, this. I had this experience 3 years ago. Maybe it's really fresh or something. I don't know. There's definitely, without any question, nothing even compares to it, as far as. And they were sort of like, before that event was my life, and then a demarcation, and then everything after. It's just changes everything. You find that, like you said, you find out what you really are, and there's a it's a homecoming.
Well, when you say it that way, that rings true to me too. Because before, you're always trying to find yourself. You know,
Yeah.
you're in some fashion, or you're
Yeah.
trying to fix yourself, or you're
Yeah.
trying to make things better for yourself.
Yeah,
or
you're looking
something.
for some kind of satisfaction.
Yeah,
That's sort of permanent.
or to cure something.
Cure
or
something.
something
Yeah.
in that level.
Yeah,
And
Something's
the
missing, or-
profoundness is that afterwards, you realize, no.
yeah.
No.
You found out that
No.
there's.
And also, though, one other thing that I've discovered is that as you go into this space more and more as time goes on, because you're in this space, you're the things that you were troubled by tend to dissipate on their own, because you see them as, in a sense, an illusion. They're not you. Really.
Yeah.
It's just, and not always fast, but
Yeah.
slowly they tend to
Yeah.
dissipate.
Yeah. I felt like a whole chunk of stuff just sort of fall away. Things that, I don't know, just worries or anxieties or dissatisfaction, just kind of whoosh, it was just gone.
Yeah.
It has never returned. And then there's a bunch of other things that are sort of psychological issues that still have little hooks in me, and they still show up in my life, and get irritable and angry at things, and then it sort of dissipates, and okay, and so
No, yeah,
it's sort of a
that
process.
I can relate to that completely.
Oh, yeah.
And I would also tell you that I used to tell people afterwards, after this experience, when I get into certain conversations with people who were working on something, they were going to therapy or so forth, and I would say, you really don't need to do that. You're just going to perpetuate your issue, whatever it is, in some fashion, or you're just going to kind of go around in a circle, because it's not necessary. It's not. There's nobody really there having this problem.
Yeah.
And I realized later on that no, there is good stuff still to be seen through, getting more clarity in what I call the relative, the sense of who you are.
Yeah.
But still, there's this thing where you don't have to analyze it. You don't have to try to figure it out. You don't have to even understand it, really. It's just...
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Ultimately, yeah. It's an interesting little sort of dance there.
Yeah.
Adya Shanti talks about after his awakening that he had Velcro thoughts, and he called them Velcro because they would stick to him, and other thoughts would just sort of come, and he'd see them as a thought, and they would go by, and there was nothing. There was no problem with anything in his mind except a few sort of Velcro thoughts that would keep sticking to him and provoking egoic response of some kind, right?
Yeah.
An I would form, and this whole thing. There's a beautiful description in his book, The End of Your World. Beautiful. He talks about that.
Yeah.
It's been helpful for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's true. That's totally true. There are
Yeah.
certain things that you're hooked into,
Yeah.
and you've probably been hooked into for a long
Long
time.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you see this sense of who you really are doesn't completely just say, okay, boom, they're all gone, everything is gone.
Right. No.
Because you come back to this reference point, I call this reference point, this I, and in that reference point, those things are still knotted up.
Yep.
So
Totally.
you just have to keep seeing more and more clearly, keep coming back, because you already have the experience, and you know what and who you are. So you go back, you keep coming back to
bring that to the,
and then slowly those knots,
yeah,
in that reference point that you do use and come back to, slowly they dissipate because you relax. Relax them. It's kind of like you relax them.
relax them. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think that we go into this space. People go into this space because they relax. I know.
Yes.
I stopped meditating that day. I just said I'm going to sit here.
Right.
And actually, it was a more relaxed space than meditating. Meditating was still doing something.
Right. There's some effort still.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which is fascinating. I mean, really, it's couldn't agree more. Our true nature shows up when we're the most relaxed.
Yeah.
And in our culture, even in spiritual circles, there's this idea of climbing the mountain or whatever it is, some efforting, and I'm going to work at it, or it has to be hard work or something.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you when you really that relax and you can let go of yourself. You don't have to even worry about anything.
Even the self.
And the other thing is, I feel like the space is the ultimate in intimacy.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate in intimacy because there's nothing between you and what is outside inside you. There's nothing between. There's no space there. There's no demarcation.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because I oftentimes hear the word intimacy dealt with between people, but there's always a sense of the feeling intimate with you. But feeling intimate, you don't feel intimate with anything in particular. You just feel intimacy. It's just there. What is there? It's
with everything.
Yeah.
And is your
it's not like a relationship in a sense. It's relating, but not a relationship.
right.
The ship goes out. So,
yeah, you see that there's no center to the other either.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Nada.
also true nature over there,
Nada.
which happens to be the same as this true nature.
Yeah.
And
Nada.
not similar to, the same, right? One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one thing.
It's only one thing.
There's only one
Which
thing.
is very weird.
It's not even a thing. It's just only oneness.
There's
That's
only
why they
oneness.
call it oneness.
And the mind can't understand that, and it rebels and goes, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. It cannot understand. It's something the mind cannot understand. It's beyond mind. So if you're listening, it's okay if your mind doesn't like it. It's the mind cannot understand certain things.
Right.
But you can experience them.
Oh yeah. You can experience. Yes.